see, where is that? There it is. So, summer's almost here, and we want to figure out, what are you doing to incorporate sustainability into your plans this summer? So go to www.menti.com, and you input code 31643809. And the question is, so how are you incorporating sustainability into your plans for the summer? So again, it's www.menti.com, and the code is 31643809. So what kinds of things are you doing this summer for sustainability? Road trip in your electric vehicle? Oh my gosh. Like, I feel like saying, like, who answered that? And please give us more detail, because, oh my gosh, that's fun. A road trip in your electric vehicle. I love it. Oh my gosh. Less travel. I mean, that's good too. I mean, because no matter like how you travel around, unless it's like walking and taking a bike, public transportation is good. But if you fly or even like use like a car that uses gasoline, you're going to be contributing to, negative things on the environment. So less travel actually sounds like that's a good way to be sustainable too. Zero waste parties. All right. I don't think we have time for this now, but I totally want more detail about some of these answers. I would love to go to a zero waste party. Okay. Eating less meat, very, very important. Eating meat contributes a lot to global warming, and it actually increases your water footprint too. Regrowing from vegetable scraps. That's cool. Kind of like using your vegetable scraps and like regrowing, using that. Biking, that sounds super awesome. It's always great to bike. Walking, biking. Staying local. Yeah, that's a great way to promote sustainability too. Just staying local. Feeding my compost pile. That's really great. Removing invasive plants. Yeah, we want native pollinators basically to promote, all the good things in our environment. So yeah, native plants, removing the invasive plants is awesome. Planting trees, wonderful. Carbon offsets for, do you mean for flying? I wasn't sure what that meant. But anytime you do a carbon footprint off. What did you say?
Yes, for airplane.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Steve. Very cool. I think at our next meeting, we should just have some further discussion about these. I think travel via electric vehicle. Okay, awesome. Well, I know who I want to spend the summer with, but super cool. Well, thanks for all your answers. So now what I'll do is I'll go back to the agenda. So we actually have to do roll call. So let me see here. Sorry. Hold on just a minute. I have to do roll call when I have to stop sharing my screen for that. Okay, so when I say your name, please say here. And when I'm doing the roll call, I actually can't see you. So please make sure you say something. Steve Clark.
Here.
Jacqueline Rhodes.
Here.
Thank you. Scott Sidlow.
Here.
Jenny Sachs.
Here.
David Director.
Here.
Sean Stansel will be late. Becca Yurkovich. Okay, I'll go back to her. Cephas Hales Richardson. Okay. Crystal Gald. Okay. Francine Locke.
Here.
Ed Orner. Mark Manfrey is not here today. Tom Schaefer.
Here.
Jim Warner.
Here.
Ed McGargy.
Here.
And I know Laura is going to be late. Becca Yurkovich? I'll just assume that she's just connecting and that she'll be here. Okay. All right. So let me get back to sharing my screen. Okay, next is approval of the meeting minutes, and they're right. Oh, I think I didn't open that. Hold on just a minute. I thought I had that open and prepared. Sorry, just a minute.
I don't think we distributed it, Carol. So
okay.
we'll have to do that.
Oh,
after the
okay.
meeting. Yeah.
All right, got it. All right. So, hold on. Let me go back to the agenda here. Okay. So next is the Chief Sustainability Officer update. Francine.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen. Alrighty. Okay, slowly. Yeah. So happy to be here. Happy summer. So what we're doing right now is preparing for budget season. So all of our departments are working on what their budgets will look like. Their operating budgets for fiscal year 23. So we're diving in deeply, and that will be then shared with our budget office, and then it will be given to the executive director, and then that will be presented to council. And so we're spending a lot of time on that right now. And we're reviewing our departmental missions, goals, and actions while we're doing this so that we can tie these things together. And of course, the departments that are under the umbrella of sustainability are looking at all of this through the lens of sustainability. And so we are looking forward to sharing that with you when we reach the point of completion. And of course, that will be published on our website, and there will be a hearing that shows this in the budget hearing before council when that is finalized. We're also kicking off the 2020, it should say 23, but it's the CIP, or the Capital Improvement Program Steering Committee, and the capital budget call process. Danielle Floyd, our Public Works Director, has worked very carefully and closely with the CIP that was passed for this year. So the 2022 Capital Improvement Program, Danielle has gone through with a fine-tooth comb, and she has just presented to council this week. She shared with council amendments to the 2022 CIP. So she basically showed where we are with the projects that we said we would start this year, to let council know either did we start them, are we changing them, or are we not doing them and maybe moving them next year or not doing them at all. So there are also new projects that have been added to the CIP this year. So she shared that with council. You can see the recording on our website if you're interested in finding more out about that. And as you know, we had a historic approval of $75 million over the next 2 years for capital. So it's a very big deal. And also there is a new code that was passed by county council, or a revision to our administrative code, stating that a capital asset now starts at $5,000. It previously was anything over $500. And this is a big deal for the departments, because anything that they're purchasing that was once between $500 and $5,000 could have been spent through capital. Now they have to put it into their operating budget. So they have to do that calculation now and account for that. And it's a challenge. Ed McGargy's on the call, and there's some struggle with that because it's new and it's hard to predict sometimes what these smaller purchases look like. But I just wanted you guys to be aware. We're also looking for summer interns. We have 2 to 3 candidates. Actually, one is on the meeting with us today, Stephen. He's just joining us to see what this is all about. And so we're hopeful that Stephen may join us as an intern. He's from Widener University. And we are in the process of implementing that AFIG, or the Alternative Fuel Incentive Grant, the $600,000 to purchase electric vehicles and to also purchase and install recharging or charging station infrastructure. This is another important project that I'm working on. We're looking to advertise a request for proposals for waste management services for the county courthouse and government center. This will be brought to council next week on Tuesday, the preliminary meeting. We're going to request that we can advertise this RFP. And right now, there is not a great system in the government center and courthouse for recycling. And so what we're going to do this time is something very different. We want to do more than just trash and recycling. We want to divert from landfills as much as possible. So here's some of the must-haves that we have here. We want to make sure that the contractor provides us with waste stream auditing services and reporting, that they give us the tonnage for the waste that goes to landfills, the weight for our recyclables, and the weight for organic collection and composting. So with that, we can have a nice, very accurate waste diversion rate, and we can use that as a metric in our sustainability work. We also would like this contractor or consultant to provide us with waste reduction strategy planning. And we want to have education and outreach for our building occupants and facility staff. We would like to also have the contractor provide us with information on contamination issues to our waste, our recycling stream, so that we know how to fix that. So with the waste stream auditing and then providing us with information on how we can prevent contamination to our recycling and composting, that'll be helpful. We also want to have a monthly analysis and report of our waste stream so that we can share it here. And that coincides with the sustainability plan for Delaware County because we have a focus area that is on waste. And so this will really help us with our metrics. And we want to be able to right size our waste pickup frequencies and the number and sizes of receptacles and dumpsters. So we want the contractor to do that for us. We also want to have a component to this that is a workforce development program, meaning that potential candidates who would be difficult to find jobs, we would like to see if we can add this to this vendor's scope of work, whether they are recently incarcerated individuals coming out. We'd like to have the opportunity for individuals to be part of a workforce development program here, especially since we're talking about recycling and composting. Also, we will have diversity, equity, inclusion, contractor requirements. We also want this vendor to work with our food services cafeteria folks downstairs in the courthouse and government center on finding ways to compost and to recycle better, because right now there's a ton of stuff down there that we need to fix. And then we're receiving guidance from our Zero Waste Associates consultant, and I'm going to be seeking input from Jim McLaughlin and James Warner. I just had a conversation with Jim McLaughlin, and he reminded me that we have the Solid Waste Authority, and we can get some really great guidance and expertise from them on what the RFP should look like. So the RFP has not been written yet. So what we're bringing to council on Tuesday is a request to advertise an RFP, not necessarily the actual RFP yet. We are seeking a grant opportunity, and it's a $75,000 max. Melissa, do you have a question? I'm sorry. You're on mute. Yes.
Sorry, I know. Sorry. I can wait till after you're done. Go ahead and finish the presentation, and
okay.
I can ask.
I should have thought of you also for the RFP. Yeah, I forgot that you were a major expert. So yes, Melissa, I will be reaching out to you as well.
Cool. Thank you. I can ask my question though when you're all done.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Alex and Ruth from Zero Waste Associates advised us that we are candidates for this grant opportunity through DEP, and it can help us with paying for the consultant fees for the development of our solid waste management or our 10-year municipal waste management plan. So we're going to be putting that in. This requires council's approval as well. So on Tuesday, we'll be going to council requesting approval to apply for this grant. And I think it's not very competitive, so we can get this. I just want to remind everybody, we did get an Environmental Excellence Award from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental, from the governor, actually, the governor. And this is a picture of all the people or the organizations. There were 15 projects across the state. And on April 26th, we had a reception, and it was just such a great time. It was so nice to be amongst these folks who work very hard at trying to be more sustainable. And our award was for our Sustain Delco initiative. So what I did was in the application, I just talked about everything we're doing, that we have a sustainability commission, that we have a CSO, that we meet monthly, we have public meetings, that we acquired the largest piece of land or park in the history of Delaware County, that we purchased 15 electric vehicles. So I just talked about everything we've done, and that's why we got the award. And so this award, collectively, these are the outcomes that we can see, that 2.5 million gallons of treated stormwater were treated. So I guess that means that they are not going to stormwater drains. So everything that people put into their applications, the DEP put into this list. So 118 trees were planted across the Pennsylvania. And so here's some interesting facts. I thought it was pretty cool. And of course, our 15 electric vehicles are listed on here. And so Mark Manfrey couldn't be here today, but I really wanted to make sure that his work was expressed today. Mark Manfrey and his team are doing an amazing job. This is an extremely busy time of year for Parks and Rec because we're kicking off the summer, and this is a summer concert series. And there are concerts June 15th to August 14th, and their schedule is on their website. I put the website down here, but this is Wednesday through Sunday every week. So you can go almost any night of the week and you will see a concert, and there's some really awesome musicians that will be there. You have to bring your own chair, and it's just a really cool thing that Delaware County does. And just look at that's the schedule. It's pretty impressive. And Mark's team does a phenomenal job on this. And just a reminder that if you recall, the Pennsylvania Resources Council visited us at our Sustainability Commission meeting, and they shared with us that they are supporting this concert series, considering it's so huge and there's like so many days out of the summer. It's going to be a zero waste event, and they need zero waste goalies. And this means a person who walks around and says, your recyclables go in here, your composting goes in here. And so you can actually submit your request to volunteer for that at the website listed here if you're interested in participating as a zero waste goalie at the event. Another really cool thing that Parks and Rec is doing right now through Mark Manfrey's team is the senior games. And these run between June 13th and the 24th, which is next week. Hundreds of folks above 50 years old, they participate in these different events: pickleball, doubles, bocce ball, 9-hole golf, cornhole, and this is throughout all over the county, horseshoes, table tennis, track and field, shuffleboard, swimming. So check out their website and see if you would like to participate. It's in even volunteering to help out. I also wanted to mention that we have testimonials, a video showing what people said from the sustainability conference. This is the link to that. You can also go to our website at delcopa.gov and look under sustainability, and you can find this. I found it really interesting to hear what people had to say. And of course, the entire conference is available. It's been recorded and all the presentations are posted. I wanted to add something that is really meaningful to the work we're doing as a Sustainability Commission. We are driven by the guiding principle of equity, inclusion, and diversity. And for the first time in Delaware County's history, we raised the Progress Pride flag at the courthouse. And it's extremely symbolic. It shows that we respect, recognize, and celebrate the lives of our residents and employees in the LGBTQI+ community. And it's a reflection of the progress we have made as a nation to cultivate a more accepting and loving society. This comes as, that's a statement that was made by Delaware County Public Relations Office. So I just wanted to share that with everybody here. And I know that's something that we all really care about. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Francine? I don't know about you, but like, this is like one of my favorite meetings. I don't know how you can't like feel good and that you're taking part in these things. Like, Francine, thank you for that report.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you for everything you're doing and everybody. Melissa, you had a question, right?
I do, Carol. This is one of my favorite meetings too. And I do feel good too that you guys invite me to sit in on these. So my question, this was the question I was going to ask earlier regarding the request to advertise.
Mm-hmm.
What kinds of obstacles do you anticipate, if any, to approval to advertise? And do you, is there a concern that overall if the request were to go through, that the budget here might ultimately be an issue? Or what kinds of obstacles do you see? And is there any, and then secondarily, is there any way that those of us who work in the courthouse and the government center can be supportive and advocate for approval
Yeah.
at least the right to advertise, you know, can we be helpful?
Those two questions are awesome. So number one, any barriers or obstacles to asking to advertise? Number one might be, we actually have an existing contract with 2 vendors, and we're going to be breaking those contracts. When I first came to the county last year in January, I did not like the contracts that I saw. They weren't serving us in the way we need to be served. And so I've been really waiting on this. I would have liked to have done it sooner, but too many things were going on. So there may be a resistance by council saying, well, we're breaking contracts. That's not really good practice.
I see.
Possibly. I don't know. We do have that right in our contract. So I did have our solicitor's office review the contracts, and we do have the right to break these contracts. So that's number one. Number two, as you said, Melissa, we will have an increased budget for this because we're not just throwing things in the trash and sending them to a landfill. We are asking for professional services as well. That includes the waste stream auditing and analysis and giving us monthly reports and providing education and outreach. So that's another barrier right there. And so they're the 2 main barriers, I think.
Okay.
To your second question, you can show up to the county preliminary meeting and provide public comment, because at the beginning of county council meetings, you are able to give public comment on things that are on the agenda, and this is an agenda item, so you could actually be there and say, hi, I am here to support this request to advertise the RFP. We understand it will be more expensive to the county, but we support that. So anybody who is willing to show up on Tuesday at 10 a.m., please do at the Government Center and share your thoughts on that.
Okay. I will have this conversation with the front office then. Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else
Hey,
have any?
Francine,
Hi, yes,
can
Jack.
you hear me?
Yes.
Do you have draft locations yet for the charging stations? Or are these the ones that would be spread out throughout the game?
Can you repeat that, Jacqueline? I'm sorry.
We're having trouble hearing you, Jacqueline. I think she was talking about locations of EV charging stations.
No, I do not have. So, okay, let's think for a second. I do actually have, forgive me, we submitted in our application to the DEP for the AFIG potential locations, and our GIS team mapped out the entire county and looked at where we would most benefit from having electric vehicle charging stations for the public as well as the county's operations. But the most of them are going to be located at our Lima campus, where Fair Acres is located, because we have the health department's flagship administrative office there, and they have their environmental inspectors there. And so they will have a fleet of about 20 vehicles there that they're going to need to be able to charge. So quite a few are going to be located at that facility or that campus. But I can share with you at our next meeting the GIS. So Jacqueline, we can share at the next meeting the GIS mapping to show the proposed locations for the EV charging stations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see, there's a question in the chat. From Steve, do you have an update on the solar PPA?
Actually, if Council Member Schaefer is able to join us today, she said that she said she might be here. What time, Carol, did she say? Like about 3 o'clock?
Around 3, yeah.
She could give that update. She did present today at the Regional Power Purchase Agreement Steering Committee with the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission. We have this meeting, I think it's monthly. And so Councilmember Schaefer gave an update at that meeting, and I prefer if she would give it. I know Laura's on the call. She may be able to give it, but Elaine Schaefer did give that today, and she was really very eloquent in talking about that. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to wait for her.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Francine? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to the next item on the agenda, and thank you again, Francine, for that wonderful report. Oh, sorry, those are like to. Okay, next is the zero waste update, but we have Alex Danovich here to give the zero waste update.
Great, thank you. Is it okay if I share my screen here? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, is that working? Great. So I know a lot of people in this meeting have been playing a great role in this. So I'll keep the update kind of brief, but if you have any questions, definitely don't hesitate to ask me to expand on anything. As a reminder, we're currently drafting the 10-year solid waste management plan. That's a requirement by the DEP for each county to complete once every 10 years. Where, the main goals of the plan from the DEP perspective is to ensure, and it's an important goal, to ensure that we have 10 years of waste capacity available for the county. A lot of work that we're doing includes mapping a path for the county to move towards zero waste. And we're doing this work really closely aligned with the county sustainability plan. So it's a great time, really exciting. And exciting to hear about all the initiatives that are moving us towards that direction already in Francine's update. We've received initial determination from the DEP that the plan will be non-substantial revisions. So that's good news. It makes it a relatively faster process. And then the plan will cover from 2023 through 2033. We've also been having some really great public participation in our advisory groups and our public workshops. We just had our last public meeting about a week and a half ago, and the public workshop the advisory group meeting last week. And we've had about over 40 community members attending each of the public workshops between the online and the in-person. So I think that's pretty great turnout for the topic. One of the things that we did over the last advisory group meeting and through the feedback we got on the workshops was to revise our guiding principles. This is the most recent final version of them. I'll just read it through them quickly. There's 10 of them. The first was to center environmental justice by keeping pollution and environmental justice out of environmental justice communities, protect public health and the environment by reducing discharges to air, water, and land, reduce waste by enacting policies, education, and technical assistance to county municipalities, businesses, residents, and institutions, and foster a zero waste culture through education programs that reinforce the concept of zero waste and make it easier to take actions that follow the zero waste hierarchy. Number 5 is strengthen zero waste jobs in the local economy by supporting existing local and regional zero waste businesses and attracting new ones and spurring innovation. Improving transparency, communication, and accountability between all parties as it relates to actions, roles, impacts, and costs, and supporting municipalities providing zero waste resources and services. 8 was to hold producers of waste responsible by identifying problem products and materials and supporting policies to address them. And then 9 and 10 are new based on the feedback we received. One is to use science in guiding our decisions. And then number 10 was a really interesting discussion we had at the last advisory group meeting that resulted in this guiding principle to equitably fund programs and infrastructure by identifying appropriate revenue sources. Right now, the consulting team is going through 20 potential zero waste initiatives that we've presented. These cover policies, programs, and infrastructure. And the strategies really look at ways to reduce waste through all the way from the top of the hierarchy, which is reduction in purchasing, through diversion, recycling, and composting, all the way to disposal. The implementation of these strategies cross between local municipalities, the county, and the solid waste authority. So our plan is going to include some planning level costs, staff time, technical assistance, education, capital investments that are involved in these and who is potentially going to play these various roles. And it'll also include what the potential cost savings are realized by the municipalities. Since the way Delaware County is structured, the municipalities are currently the ones holding the majority of the costs in the accountability and responsibility to enact the initiative. So the plan will show how the costs, upfront costs of investing in the systems will result in the cost savings to the municipalities. So we have a couple more public events scheduled. And I think the most exciting one is our next public workshop. We just received confirmation that we're going to have an amazing guest speaker, Marvin Hayes, who is from the Baltimore Compost Collective. Baltimore Compost Collective is a youth and entrepreneurship program that trains participants in workforce skills, food access programming, and community scale composting in South Baltimore. They provide employment for area youth and give them experience working with green startup enterprises and entrepreneurial skills. So I think it relates to a lot of the workforce development comments that we've received. And it should be a really interesting talk and exciting, I think, motivating in terms of the opportunities that are going to exist as we divert more material and invest in these initiatives. The date is June 30th, and this is important. There's a location change. It's going to actually now be in Chester at the Chester City Hall Community Room. And so the topic for the meeting is once we go through the guest topic with Marvin, he'll be able to give a presentation on what they're doing. Then we'll actually be able to go through the draft plan elements that we have in place that are going to feed into the final draft of the report.
Alex, what time is that again?
That's it's scheduled at 6 o'clock. We might have we might start it a little earlier with the actual meeting starting at 6. So we'll get that information out, but we might have some food and stuff at 5:30 starting there. So, but it's scheduled 6 to 7:30. And I think that's about it. We hope everyone continues to stay engaged, and I welcome any questions you might have.
Melissa, I see your hand raised.
I'm sorry, I'm so chatty today.
Thank you for your
No problem. So this is maybe just a reflection of my confusion or ignorance, but I have been looking, I thought that the Solid Waste Authority site was getting updated. I thought I remembered seeing that, but is there any place online where the updates regarding the planning are reflected, or any? And I just thought that.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good question.
I'm not finding anything. And crazy.
The easiest way to find it, probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, Francine, but if you look at the agenda from the advisory group meeting, there's links on the agenda to a Google Doc that's accessible by anyone that has all of the background information that we're developing. So it has detailed like a 2 or 3 pager on each of the 20 initiatives, and then different various draft sections as we're completing them are accessible in those folders.
But is that available to the public?
Yeah, it's on the Sustainability Commission page.
I was just on the website. I was just literally on that. I'll just say this, if anybody knows where there is more information about the solid waste planning and all that, if they could pop it in the chat. Because
I'll put a link in there. I'll follow that folder. Yep. Yeah, no problem.
Is the Solid Waste Authority's website being overhauled? I thought.
Jim, do you want to take that? It is. It's
am I dreaming that?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But
DELCOSWA.org is being revamped and it actually stood up for the first time only in the last couple of months. So it's a new thing. Jim Warner and the team are doing a great job of expanding the information that's available. I have every confidence that it'll become the resource that you want it to be, but we're just getting started.
Oh, okay, no problem. So it's in process, just not live yet. Okay.
It's live. DELCOSWA.org is live.
Yeah.
It's on Facebook. Those are the 2 channels I would say is website and Facebook are both live and operable. So,
all right. So, and that's all in the chat. I can just go look DELCOSWA.org.
I'll put it there. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Sorry for my confusion.
No, thanks for the question.
It's okay.
Question.
Alex, the guest speaker seems like a very appropriate speaker. In an hour-long meeting that is designed for public comment, will a guest speaker take up the majority of the time, or will that lead to enhanced conversation? I just don't want anybody to feel like they didn't get a chance to speak because
Absolutely.
the guest speaker spoke.
Yeah, and it's something we discussed. It's a good question, and that's why I think we're hopefully going to start it a little bit earlier so people can arrive and be seated and ready to go right at 6. And then, typically for the public workshops, we've had about a half-hour presentation at the beginning to set the stage, and then leave an hour for the public comments at least. So that's still the understanding or the expectation that we'll have plenty of time to get public comments. I think it's going to be really worthwhile, speaker, though, to get folks excited and kind of be able to see the vision that they've been able to implement, the reality of the impacts of these types of initiatives.
Thank you.
And are there any other questions for Alex? Okay.
Thank you.
Hearing them. Thank you. We'll just go back to the agenda. Public comment.
Yes.
Is there any public comment?
Yes, we do have a question. Is there an estimate for when municipalities could participate in the power purchasing agreement? Also, when the power purchase agreement would be producing renewable electricity? Municipalities are planning their electricity procurement future plans. And my answer to you is no, we don't know. There's a ton of preparation work. We're learning about what this all is about. It's very complicated, as you probably know, as an energy, this is Steve Clark sent this. And so I don't have a date because we're still really spending a lot of time learning and listening to a consultant who was hired by DVRPC. But as soon as I know, I will share with the Sustainability Commission when we're getting closer. Let me see if there's anything else. I'm sorry. No, I don't see anything else.
Someone, oh yeah, Melissa asked, who is the PPA consultant hired by DVRPC?
Oh boy, why can't I remember the name of this? Let me just think for a moment. I'm sorry. It's like NLEC or something. It's a weird, excellent. Oh, let me see. I mean, we talk about it constantly with this group. I should know. Hold on for a second. What's the best way to share that? Let me look for it and I'll get back to the group.
And also Alex put, here is a link for the background information on the solid waste plan. So that was just shared with everyone. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, no. Okay. So next is a sustainability plan update, Francine.
Okay, let me share my screen. Share. Okay, that's from the last. Oh, so we haven't moved much since the last time because we haven't had a sustainability and resilience manager. But I just want to review again where we were and where we are actually still at this point. So we have guiding principles and focus areas. Our guiding principles are equity, inclusion, education, economic growth, and governance. And our 6 focus areas are health and wellness, natural resources, transportation, energy, waste and resource management, and climate resiliency. So this is the beginning. We did agree upon all of these things. And our goals are still the same. They have not changed at this point, and they are listed on our website. So we have goals for each one of the 6 focus areas. I'm not going to read them all at this moment, unless you would like me to review them. Okay. And so these are on our website. If you go to the Sustainability Office's website, so our website is, you can go either to the Sustainability Commission website or the Sustainability Office website. This is on the Sustainability Office website, and it's on the running banner if you want to look at the update for our sustainability plan. And so these are the goals. And so with these goals, we are then going to work with this schedule. Where we are now is that we did establish these goals as we wanted to by the spring of 2022. And now we are going to start working on developing specific actions and targets. So we are a little bit behind because we wanted to have that for the spring. So we're moving into the summer. I think that with the hiring of a new manager is going to be very helpful because that person is going to be responsible for developing the sustainability plan with our stakeholders. And so this is the schedule. And the next major development will be the formation of these subcommittees. We have talked about this in the past and we have solicited nominations. We've received nominations. We have a group of folks for each one of the subcommittees, but we still need to really zoom in on who is on the subcommittees and making sure that we have enough people with the right expertise or background. So as you know, the purpose of this group is to actually decide on the targets and actions that are going to be in the sustainability plan. And this is going to require a lot of discussion and intensive feedback from our stakeholders so that we're all on the same page. And we do still have the deadline of September for finalizing the plan. And that's my update.
Thank you, Francine.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have any questions for Francine on that? Oh, yes,
Sorry.
Melissa.
Is that deadline fixed by ICLEI, by the ICLEI program, or is that a deadline that the county?
Self-inflicted deadline.
Okay.
I need a deadline. Good question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that still in effect? I mean, it's essentially 2 months, right? I mean, I don't know how long it to get started.
It's a good question. We're going to try, but it's probably not. You're right. It probably needs to be changed. But I'm going to leave it up to the Sustainability and Resilience Manager who comes on board on June 20th. That's later on in the agenda to be able to say what the thoughts are there on when we do. So I'm sticking to what we have, but you're probably right. It will have to change.
One more.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt. Is someone else talking?
No, go ahead, Steve.
Okay. So Francine, I think on our last call, Commissioner Schaefer mentioned this Project Geo, this solar array thing that was approved by council. There's some slides. Do you have any information, or I don't know if this group has really heard about that, or is that something to be talked about later?
So that's the topic that Council Member Schaefer presented today to that DVRPC RPPA steering committee group. And she's the best one to share with you what's going on there. But I have to also say that if you go to County Council's website, we do have a recording of the last council meeting where this was presented at a public meeting. And so that's there as well. If Councilmember Schaefer doesn't make it to this meeting, because I know she does have something going on, I will make sure that it's on the next agenda where we have a comprehensive update for the commission.
Awesome. It's very exciting.
Okay, any other questions for Francine? Okay, so we will move on to the next item on the agenda. Oh, so this was a part of Francine's other report, the Rose Tree Concert Series update, and Mark isn't here today. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Oops, sorry, I didn't have times on these. Chief of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, but Lauren isn't here. So did you want to say anything, Francine?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate the county for having some, a DEI officer. I think that our executive director is extremely innovative, and I'm just grateful that our county is doing this. So Lauren Footman is quite amazing. You can go to LinkedIn and see what she's done in the past, but she was behind having that flag raising for Pride Month. And she is trying to really infuse her presence into everything we're doing at the county. In fact, next week I have a meeting with her and Melissa regarding environmental justice. So.
Wow, that's great. We look forward to working with her.
Yes, she said she'll be able to come. She'll be able to visit one of our meetings. I gave her such short notice that she already had an engagement.
Sure. Does anyone have any questions for Francine about that? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to the next item on the agenda. Sustainability Commission Officers Status. Did you want to say anything about that, Francie?
Oh, say again. I'm sorry. I was reading a chat.
It's the Sustainability Commission officer or member status.
Yes, so this is the dry stuff, the bylaw stuff that we have to talk about. And I'm going to share my screen so that I can stay on track with what I have to say about this very mundane topic, yet very important because it's about our group here and the members' terms expiring. So I'm going to share the screen again, slowly but surely. All right. Okay, I think I did it. Yes. So we have 3 commission members who their terms are expiring in September. Steve Clark, Carol, and Jacqueline. Carol Martzoff and Jacqueline Rhodes. Steve is a member with he's a representative of expertise and experience in the field of energy efficiency and or green building practices. Carol is a co-chair, and she has an expertise in community environmental advisory committee member. And Jacqueline is a representative of the general public. She also has many specialties as well. This just happens to be what the slots are for the positions that are required according to the bylaws. And so I cut and pasted from the bylaws. And so the county executive director is the one who appoints members to this commission. And so these are the types of representatives that we have to have as public members. So as you can see, these are the different expertise areas. And I just mentioned the 3 folks who have specific slots that they fill for the commission members. And so let's see the next slide. So the officers, so as you saw, we have a chairperson and a vice chairperson, Carol and Jacqueline, who are coming up for reappointment if they want to continue. And so I'm bringing this to the commission here just to share that this is happening. Our 3 members are, their terms are expiring. So there has to be a decision made as to how to proceed. Does anybody have any thoughts and comments on this? Stop sharing. So I guess we should ask the question of each member here. So we should ask Carol, do you want to continue as the chair? Do you want to come back as a?
Yes, I do. Now, I don't want to be like if someone else wants to chair it, I would love to still be a member. I would still love to be chair, but I understand that if someone else wants to, like if Jacqueline wants to move up and do that, but I would love to still be a part of this very much.
Okay. Okay. Jacqueline, are you willing to continue as co-chair or vice chair and continue to be a member? Just wondering.
Same here, definitely a member, happy to fill whatever role is necessary to keep things flowing.
Okay, cool. And Steve?
I'm still thinking about it. I'm not sure.
Hey, we need you. No, I'm just kidding. All right. We do love your expertise, your energy expertise. And so, Carol, the next step, what is the next step, do you think, for this process?
Well, I guess.
Laura is also a good person to ask that question to. Laura Goodrich-Karen. She knows these things very well. I don't know if she, yes. Laura, any advice for what we need to do next?
So technically you need to know if those members are interested in remaining on, take those to Howard. I think with the other boards that council appoints members, they still post the positions in the openings to solicit additional input from residents if there's interest. You've already made sure that it complies with the composition that's required for the board. Those 3 seats need to be filled by people with these areas of expertise. The only other thing I'll suggest that you look at, not that you like to have to do the mundane administrative stuff, is to double check when the annual meeting is, because otherwise you are in this position, Carol's chair, you don't want her, you'll have a vacancy in the chair position. So it should be that if this is the month that those positions roll up, the following month should probably be the annual meeting to update the executive positions after those people are reappointed or new members are appointed.
Yes, I believe that meeting is in October. pretty sure. That's an October meeting.
And when are these 3 positions up?
September.
Yeah, so that's good alignment. You're way in advance.
But okay, so we will have to advertise to the public these 3 positions. I will work with Ann Coogan on that. And so by next week, we should probably have that out there and see what happens. And then Howard will make the final decision for the appointments. All right, cool. So does everybody understand that? You have any questions? Okay.
Are there any other questions about this before we move on to the next item on the agenda? Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Sustainability manager update.
Okay, so this is a fun thing to talk about. Very excited that we at Delaware County's Office of Sustainability have identified a sustainability and resilience manager who has accepted the offer from the county and starts June 20th. And this person is Becca Yurkovich.
Yay!
Becca, are you able to talk?
Yay!
Yes, so surprised. Hi all, I apologize for hopping on late. Today is actually my last day in Bethel Township. So I left at 2 and I am now here full time. So I'm very excited to be transitioning into this role and to start tackling that sustainability plan. So look forward to working with you guys full time.
Yay, so happy. Thank you.
Congratulations.
So you're going to be seeing a lot more of Becca and seeing emails from Becca and just so much going on. So yes, Ed McGarty. So, okay. So that's the announcement with Becca. Any questions? Okay. Carol?
Ed McGargy did have a question. Did you want to address that?
It's up to Steve if he wants to do this or not. He hasn't made his decision yet. And David's so kind, perfect, can't think of a better choice with Becca. Melissa says, congratulations, Becca. And Jacqueline says, woohoo. I'm with you on that one. So to answer Ed's question though, Steve has not made a decision yet, so. There is actually, no, but there is a public, oh, wait a second.
It's because of Becca. Yeah.
Oh, and then Becca, thank you, Ed. I just got that. Becca is, I'm sorry, since Becca is coming as an employee, her position on the commission is now open. Carol, do you want to explain that?
Oh, yeah. Well, because Becca is going to be in the role of the sustainability and resilience manager, then that means we still need someone of her like title or capacity on the commission. So I hope I explained that right, Francine.
You did. It was better than me because I was thinking something completely different. But so we will add that to the advertisement with our clerk, our county clerk. So that sounds like there are 4 that will be advertised.
So, all right. Any other questions or anything else you wanted to share about this before we move on to the next item on the agenda? No? Okay, and I see your message, Becca. I'm so excited. We're so excited to have you in this position. And we love your, I don't want to speak for everyone, but like your enthusiasm is so contagious. So
Agreed.
Yeah. So I will share my screen. Let's see. Return on Environment Study, Ann Stauffer.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me to give an update on the Return on Environment Study. I just put in the chat the link to the finalized document. I hope you can all see it. It's a really exciting study that the county just completed with Tool Recreation Planning and ESI Consult Solutions. County Council just recently adopted it. This is a study, for those who don't know, this is a study that seeks to quantify the monetary value of the benefits of green space and parks and open space in the county. The findings of it are broken down into 4 categories, and these are just some big numbers. There's a 52 million annual economic impact, a 14 million annual environmental services, 142.6 million annual recreational value, and 689 million added to property values. Now, these numbers are countywide. Obviously, they're quite large, kind of difficult to really wrap your head around. So these numbers are sort of broken down by 6 case studies across the county to get a really better idea of what this looks like. The first case study was in Naylor's Run Park in Upper Darby, which is this beautiful, it has great tree canopy, there's a stream, and the environmental services, the recreational, the community benefits cannot be overstated for this park in Upper Darby, which is always always busy. The permits are always full for use in the park. Chester Creek Trail was another case study. This is 2.8 miles of trail in Middletown and Aston townships. And this has a $1 million recreational value annual and 3.9 million in healthcare savings annual value. I mean, these numbers are great. Another case study was Chester City. We did the Veterans Memorial Park. And this park checks all of those boxes, all 4 of the monetary value boxes, with recreational value of the football fields and the pool. It also has GSI implemented, so there's stormwater management benefits and water quality improvements. There's a library, the community benefits. It's really recommend you read the case study further. And a 1.7 million recreational value for this park annually. There's also a case study for the Rose Tree Park. This is just, Mark's not here to give an update on the concert series, but this case study looks directly at the concert series and the economic impact of the concert series itself, which is estimated at $800,000 a summer in economic spending at your local restaurants for food for the park. I mean, it's really fantastic. And these numbers, it's important to note that they were based on surveys from last year where there were fewer concerts because of pandemic and whatnot. So these numbers are actually probably higher. There was also a case study on Andy Lewis Park, which was known as the Haverford Reserve. And this is another park with huge recreational value. You know, the creek is there, the trails, the fields, the playground, but it also has extensive woods and stormwater management and environmental services. Just another case study. And the last case study was the property formerly known as Don Guanella. And as everyone on this call knows, the environmental services of that property really cannot be overstated. So that's just a quick overview of what's in the study. I urge you all to read it. It ends with a strategic action plan for moving forward. And it's one of the biggest things is to have the community communicating this to the community and promoting this. And people need to be aware of how important our open space and trails are and what these numbers are. I mean, this is getting this out there. And I think this commission, everybody here, will be a big part of promoting this across the community.
Thank you, Anne. Melissa.
As long as you guys don't kick me off for talking too much. So I have seen these kinds of reports before, and they're fascinating. And it is, it's a critical mind shift and so on. I'm curious how, and maybe it isn't determined yet, but I'm curious how the county explores using the data from this report as it advocates for or against investments in, name it, any investments that a county has to invest in, or the municipalities for that example. How does this lexicon and these numbers get integrated into how we invest in stuff we like and is positive, and how we disinvest from practices that ultimately may be an easy quick fix, but ultimately undermine what's best for the county? I don't know how that is, but I would love to hear feedback on that.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's exactly the purpose of these plans, to make this data known to make the case for these important assets in our community. Those are in the strategic plan at the end of the what to do next is implementing this, finding ways to use this, communicating this, protecting the green waste program, all of that.
And this is information that we will use as a subcommittee in the natural resources focus area, or any of the focus areas that we need data or we need some information to justify decisions. Or so this is just another piece of information we can use, and when we're justifying things, like when we set aside $5.5 million per year in our capital improvement program for open space. This is why we can show that data.
Are there any other questions for Anne? Okay, thank you, Anne. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda. Okay, review action items from the last meeting. Like I did copy and paste those. We're going to be getting this update, I think, at the next meeting is what we discussed.
Yeah, I just found out Julie Del Muto is on the call right now. She's not going to be able to give an update at the moment. I don't want to scare her. She's probably like, what? No, but for next time, I just want to mention to Julie, if you could put together, I know you've been talking about having a presentation on the EV charging stations, particularly what we submitted with our application for the AFIG grant.
And another action item was follow up on subcommittee group start date. So that'll, we discussed it like that would be forthcoming. And then we already discussed about the commission members for reappointment. So we already discussed that. So let me go to the agenda again. New business. Is there any new business from anyone? Oh, Melissa?
I'm sorry.
I just want to throw something out there, and I don't know if this, I'm not sure that it qualifies as new business per se right now, but the district attorney's office or county council just approved a $2 million grant for the DA's office. And the lion's share of that money is going toward violent crime reduction in Chester. It's the money is focused, most of it anyways, focused in Chester. But we were able to negotiate with the funder to set aside $200,000 of that grant money to focus on a community-based multidisciplinary effort to tackle illegal dumping. And as I developed that program with plenty of stakeholders, and Julie, I don't know if you're still on, Julie Del Muto has been awesome. There are a lot of pieces involved in this project, and I'm happy to talk with people, but hopefully this initiative becomes one that can be ultimately rolled out to other municipalities where the need is greatest, but it very much ties into the solid, it is a piece, I should say, of the bigger solid waste picture. And I am constantly looking for recommendations and feedback. And I just wanted to make sure I don't know if this ever ends up in front of any aspect of this ends up in front of the commission, but I just wanted to raise that. And I also wanted to take 2 minutes to make a shameless plug for Danielle and Bottle Underground and this great zero waste culture shifting move that they're making to engage the entire region and helping them fund initiatives to do something better with glass bottles than what's being done right now. So hat tip to you, Danielle. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Melissa. Oh, Francine, you're clapping. Yeah, clapping. And McGargy, Melissa, have you seen the illegal dump site inventory compiled by Keep PA Beautiful a few years ago?
No, let's talk, Ed. For all of Pennsylvania? I guess so. I would guess.
I'm sorry, yes.
Pennsylvania being-
They did it by county. They did Delaware County, and most of the illegal dumps sites were in Chester.
Wow. Oh, so that'd be very interesting. We have right now a map of about 37 persistent illegal dump sites in Chester. So I assume I can Google this.
Oh, Laura, did you want to say something?
No, one of my authorities manages one of the properties where there is a consistent dump site, which I've reached out to Melissa about, and I still have to follow up with. So like, that's why I'm like perking up, like, yes, yay, finally. We
Yes, we
literally
should talk.
one of our public authorities literally spent probably around $4,600 at the beginning of spring in order to clean up what was there. And it's not, you think, okay, well, what are they dumping? You could literally furnish an entire house with what was back there. And the contractor did this on a Friday. It was Good Friday, and went back out on Monday because they also do maintenance. And literally there was an additional 20 bags of trash that were dumped there. So we're constantly doing that.
Yeah, I look forward to talking with you more, Laura, as this project kicks off. We just received approval from County Council, so we've exploded into planning mode right now. So I'd love to talk.
You can blame Chief Gretzky because he was the one who's like, you need to call. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
No, that's fine. Anyone who has an idea or recommendations or wants to learn more, please call me. I'll put my contact info in the chat.
Is there anything else for open discussion?
So Carol, I wanted
yes,
to share
Julie.
something. So this
Sure.
is Julie Delmuto. I'm in Francine's office under the sustainability. I'm the JS manager. So for the commission, for the conference, we created a hub site of different applications, mapping applications that relate in some way to sustainability. So I wanted to share that. I'm going to put it in the chat. I have a broken laptop screen right now, so I can't share or see what I'm sharing. Anyway, so I wanted to share that. And if anyone has any comments or things that they would like to see on there, it does link to stuff that we've done, but also to census data on certain topics, as well as.
Would you want me to share it, Julie?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you. So some of these were done when I was in the planning department, and we just brought them over. So they're shared in two spots, so we thought it was appropriate. So it shows impaired streams. There's some different things on here that comments or things that they would like to see on there. Transportation services, because everyone should be taking SEPTA. And if you're in the floodplain, there's an app for that. There's some lead vulnerability, an application below that is just for Delaware County. We also have some emission stuff on here. And then we did link to DVRPC because they do some really great story maps that pertain to not just Delaware County, but the region. So they give a lot of good information that you can interact with. So I would tell everyone to take a look at it. And if you have comments or suggestions, send me an email.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
What goes into social vulnerability, a social vulnerability index?
Yes, you can click on that if you want. It does talk about what they use to make those rankings. This is a really giant application that's behind it. So it talks about, there's 4 different pieces of it that you can look at separately, and then they put them together to make the whole social vulnerability. And this is done by the CDC, so we're just representing their data for just Delaware County. And it makes sense to rank it just for Delaware County for our purposes. If you were to see it with the whole region or the United States, the rankings, it might not, some areas that we know that are vulnerable might not pop out as well. So from a local's perspective. And when you're in the maps, you can click on different things and it'll give you some information.
Oh.
Yeah, so it tells you a little bit about that census tract in Upper Chi.
Oh.
And there's also a data dictionary behind it. So if you wanted more information, that would be easily accessible.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. It explains it all.
Yeah, it really goes into a lot of detail.
Wow, okay.
But if you were on the first page, there is on there on the left, you can see we give you a brief.
Oh, yeah, right here, right. Okay,
And we're open to suggestions.
okay, all right. Does anyone have any questions for Julie? Thanks for sharing that. I think that's like really interesting and important.
No problem.
Okay, if no one has any, oh, well, in addition, does anyone else have any other new business? Okay, hearing none, I'll share my screen again for the agenda. Okay, we're up to action item review. So what I had listed, so we'll proceed with the next step with regard to sustainability commission members whose terms are expiring, and advertising those as well. Oops, sorry if you can see this from my work. That's for my job. Let's see. And also, we're going to look into the solar array. Here, let me stop sharing my screen. We're going to be talking about that, I guess, at our next meeting.
Yes.
And we're going to see if maybe the new officer for diversity, equity, and inclusion could possibly come to our next meeting.
Carol, I just want to mention that Sean Rush did put into the chat a link to the county council meeting that had the presentation on that solar project too. The presentation was given there too. So if anybody wants to find out more now, they can do that before the next meeting, our next meeting.
Okay, great.
It's way up there on the chat chain because there's so much chatting.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Let's see. I didn't have anything else on my action items from this meeting.
I have one more. One more
Yes.
is presenting on the EV location map.
Oh, that's right.
Julie. And that's what we submitted to the state for our AFIG grant, where we would like to install those proposed locations for EVs. On the website that Julie shared with you here, there is a map that shows where all of the EV charging stations are in the county. So that's there. And so what she would be presenting next week is where do we recommend putting new EV charging stations?
Okay, great. Okay, I'll just share my screen again. Okay, any public comment?
I don't see any more in the Sustain Delco email box.
Okay, anyone from the public have a comment? You want to send it in through the chat or?
Oh, I added to the Sustain Delco. So something from the Sustain Delco email on May 31st was that the Penn State agriculture folks wanted us to share that they have some very cool summer programs, including 4-H summer camps and things. So there's a link in the chat for that.
Okay. Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, we're up to adjourning. If there isn't anything else that anyone, either if you have a question or you want to share anything, we're going to be ready to adjourn. Anyone want to share anything before we? You have like a lot more time to like do something else. We had a shorter agenda than we typically have. Okay. All right. Well, if there isn't anything else, then just thank you to everyone for all the work that they do for sustainability, and thank you, Francine, for everything you do.
Thank you.
So thank you to all of you. So with that, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Okay, thanks, David. Would someone like to second that?
I'll second that, Ed McGarvey.
Thanks, Ed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, so moved. Our meeting is adjourned today. All right, well, enjoy your weekend.
Thank you,
See you
Carol.
next month. Right,
Thank
bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.